rolling blackouts for the state, which could happen at any time.
Well, the power crisis isn't getting any better. Now the state's investment.
Homes and businesses confirms that the independent systems operator
We are currently in a stage 3 alert.
California has a serious problem, and you have been selected to be part of the solution. We've all seen the consequences of not having enough power plants in the state of California. Running short of energy can be devastating. The good news is there's help on the way, and you have been selected to be part of a very important project that will play a key role in the solution of the state's crisis. The Blythe Energy Project is a 520 megawatt power plant that will increase the generation of energy in the state of California and improve the reliability of California's power grid. The plant will be located on a 76-acre site within the city of Blythe in Riverside County. The Blythe area was selected due to its natural gas supply, transmission lines, highway access, and ample water supply. Power generated by the facility will be interconnected with transmission and substation facilities. The Blythe substation in turn will connect with lines to Western Area Power, Imperial Irrigation District, and Southern California Edison, which supply energy to homes and businesses in much of Southern California. The Blythe Energy Project will provide competitively priced power to the wholesale market, improve electric system capability and reliability in California, as well as provide economic growth for the community.
The Blythe Energy Power Plant is critical if California is to succeed in supplying the energy that we need to move into the next decade. Blythe Energy is well on the way. It's a non-controversial plant. It's something that the California Energy Commission should cite, and I predict will cite, but we have to make sure that we can expedite that.
The Blythe Energy Project is very, very important, not just to the county of Riverside, the Palo Verde Valley, but to the entire state of California. As we all know, we have an energy crisis. We need more power sources, and this project, which has full support of the county and the city of Blythe, is going to be an important link in our efforts to bring power to Californians.
One of the exciting things that I look forward to with a project such as the size of this is that we know that it won't be just a power plant, because there's going to be many other businesses and services that are going to be needed to service a project as large as this power plant. And that's one of the things that is exciting. So not only are we going to see the benefit from the increase of employment in the city of Blythe from that power plant, but from those additional businesses that are going to relocate here at Blythe, those new businesses that are going to be started up to service that power plant. That's exciting. That's real economic growth, and that's real economic opportunity.
Tax revenues, stable electric rates, a continuous source of power. These are things that industry coming into the valley look for, which we cannot guarantee now. Our future is with the Blythe Energy Project.
Along with being selected to work on this important project go special responsibilities. Blythe Energy Project has agreed with the California Energy Commission to construct the project within certain environmental guidelines. Our job is to provide energy in an environmentally sound manner. During construction, your responsibilities will include the protection of biological resources, cultural resources, and paleontological resources. You will be working with a team of environmental specialists. There will always be a member of the Site Safety and Environmental Protection team on site. On the front line will be a Site Safety and Environmental Officer. They will provide you with ongoing training on biological, cultural, and paleontological resources. You will also be working with designated resource experts, including a designated biologist, a cultural resource specialist or archaeologist, a paleontological resource specialist or paleontologist. You will receive regular updates regarding whom to contact if you encounter these resources. Also, you will receive a card to keep in your wallet with appropriate contacts and phone numbers. The on-site safety and environmental officer and others on the site management team will have direct access to the designated biologist, archaeologist, and paleontologist. This team will be working to keep the project in compliance with state and federal laws designed to protect these resources during construction. The next 3 sections of this video will familiarize you with these resources and your responsibilities in these areas. In contrast to its rugged appearance, the Mojave Desert is a fragile place. It has creatures that have inhabited the area long before man, as well as rare plant life and cultural resources. It's our job to ensure their protection during our time in their environment. The Mojave Desert is home to the desert tortoise and the burrowing owl. The desert tortoise is protected by the Federal Endangered Species Act, and the burrowing owl is protected by the California Department of Fish and Game. Desert tortoises are ancient desert dwellers dating from the last ice age. In captivity, they have been known to live for more than 80 years, so many tortoises that you might see are older than you are. Tortoises are entirely herbivorous, living on grasses and wildflowers. Tortoises hatch from eggs laid in late spring and early summer. At hatching, they are no larger than a silver dollar, although they may grow to more than 16 inches in length. Hatchling tortoises have soft shells until they're approximately 5 years old, making them highly vulnerable to predation by many predators, including ravens, foxes, coyotes, and snakes. Tortoises have adapted to harsh desert living by staying in burrows when forage dries and temperatures soar, the ability to store water to withstand dry summers and drought, providing a large, high-caloric yolk to feed hatchlings for the first 6 to 8 months of their lives in the event of lack of forage. Despite this, tortoises have become endangered due to many factors, including loss of habitat from expanding urbanization, major habitat changes from long-term grazing activities, roadkills and habitat fragmentation from high traffic loads on expanding state and interstate highways, unnatural levels of predation, disease, and severe drought. During dry periods, such as Blythe's hot summers where temperatures reach 120 degrees and there is no green vegetation to eat, desert tortoises have the ability to survive for months on the vital fluids they store in their bodies. Startling a tortoise, approaching it too quickly, or improper handling may result in dispelling these vital fluids. Dispelling these fluids could be life-threatening for the tortoise. Here to tell us more regarding the sensitive resources you could encounter on the job site is the Blythe Energy Project's Senior Environmental Scientist and Biological Monitor, Peter Boucher.
Here at the power plant site, we'll survey for tortoises before construction begins and before the fence goes up. The fence will have an underground component that should make it tortoise-proof. During construction, we'll inspect the fence to see if tortoises are trying to burrow under it, and if they are, we'll make some changes to the fence design. If we find tortoises in the area, we'll have the option to remove them using U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service approved procedures.
The plant will be constructed in low-quality desert tortoise habitat. However, to compensate for this permanent loss of habitat, the Blythe Energy Project will be working with the Desert Tortoise Preserve Committee to establish a preserve of over 77 acres of high-quality desert tortoise habitat in the Chuckwalla Mountains, about 50 miles west of Blythe. If you encounter a desert tortoise, stop work immediately. Do not touch the animal. Immediately alert the Site Safety and Environmental Officer, your supervisor, or a biological monitor, as described to you during your ongoing training. They will determine the next course of action. The burrowing owl is a small ground-dwelling owl with long legs. They are often seen bobbing up and down. This owl does not have the ear tufts seen on many other species of owls. As their name suggests, burrowing owls nest in burrows in the ground, often in old ground squirrel or desert tortoise burrows. Burrowing owls tend to be opportunistic feeders. Beetles and grasshoppers comprise a large portion of their diet. Small mammals, especially mice, rats, gophers, are also important food items. After catching its prey, it returns to a perch on a fence post or its burrow. Owls can be easily disturbed, and if so, may abandon their nests and foraging areas. The burrowing owl population has been declining primarily due to habitat loss as a result of urban development. Burrowing owl habitat exists on the project site, levees along the pipeline route, and adjacent areas.
You'll be working closely with biological monitors when installing the natural gas pipeline in an area like this. We'll help to avoid any areas where these wildlife species are present or we may even remove them to a safe area so that construction can continue.
If you see a burrowing owl, stop work immediately. Do not disturb the animal and immediately alert the appropriate member of the site environmental monitoring team. They will determine the next course of action. Protecting the desert tortoise and burrowing owl is a responsibility we must all share. By both the Federal and State Endangered Species Act, desert tortoises may not be killed, harmed, or harassed. The legal consequence is 1 year in jail and/or a $50,000 fine. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act and the California Environmental Quality Act and the Blythe Energy Project's contract with the California Energy Commission also protect burrowing owls. Mortalities or disturbance of nests may be punishable by fines and imprisonment. There may also be other wildlife species in the project area that are protected by the California Department of Fish and Game. This includes the golden eagle and other bird species that may occur near the river and drainage canals.
Other wildlife species that may occur in the project area that we want to protect are two bird species, the southwestern willow flycatcher and the Yuma clapper rail. These are most likely to occur here at the Colorado River and at drainage canals which the natural gas pipeline will be crossing. While you're working at this site, please be watchful for wildlife species and work closely with the biological monitors. We'll have a reporting procedure for you to contact your supervisor or the designated biologist. If we find one of these wildlife species on the site, we may stop work in an area, but only for long enough to evaluate the situation and possibly even relocate the animal.
The Blythe area is also rich in cultural significance. For example, Native Americans have occupied this area as far back as 12,000 years, and there have been many important artifacts left behind to tell us how they lived. On display at the Blythe Museum are marvelous items that have already been uncovered. Also, did you know the Blythe Airport served an important role in World War II? During the war, it was the location of the 390th Bomber Group. The 390th trained at the airport and went on to be one of the most successful B-17 Flying Fortress bombing groups in the war. We asked senior archaeologist Andrew Pignolo to explain the Blythe Energy Project's cultural and archaeological resources.
Cultural resources, also known as archaeological resources, can include a variety of things. Items that have been made or modified by people, whether they're Native American or Indian people, or people like you and I. Cultural resources can include Indian artifacts such as pottery, arrowheads, basketry, things that were used to grind food like manos and metates. The Blythe area was occupied by a variety of Native American groups in the past. The Colorado River has been an important area for Native Americans because of the water resources there and the food resources available there, such items as fish and the mesquite, which live along the river course.
Cultural resources can also include Euro-American artifacts like tin cans, fragments of dishes, meat bones left as refuse, or broken bottles and window glass. Not every bottle and can provides important information for understanding the past. For example, there are 4 historical sites within the project area that have been determined by professional archaeologists not to be important. These will be destroyed during construction. Other historical sites, like those associated with the Blythe Airport, are important and need to be avoided and preserved. It is very important to ensure that human remains are avoided during construction. There will be no cultural resource monitor on site, and the construction crew is charged with the responsibility of reporting any finds of archaeological materials or human remains to the construction supervisor or cultural resource specialist. All discoveries should be reported and work in the area of the discovery redirected. It is the responsibility of the cultural resource specialist to determine if discoveries are significant and how to treat them.
The plant site itself is right near the Blythe Airport, and the Blythe Airport in the past was an important military base. During World War II, it was an important staging area and supply base for the whole desert training area that basically encompassed much of the California desert, California and Arizona deserts. So General Patton was doing major training maneuvers, and this airport was an important sort of supply resource to all those troops that were out in the desert. So the Blythe Airport is considered a historic site and is basically off limits to construction workers. There are foundations and some of the remains of the earlier structures on the Blythe Airport or within that area, and basically it's really important to stay within the project boundaries and not collect anything from either the project site or off-site.
There are a variety of federal and state laws that protect archaeological resources. Willful non-compliance by workers with these laws will result in dismissal from the project and could result in federal fines as well as suspension of construction activities. The city of Blythe is located on the Colorado River floodplain. Over the past 2 million years, sediments have been deposited in the Colorado River floodplain adjacent to the current route of the river. As a result, fossils of extinct animals have been preserved in some of these river and delta deposits. In the vicinity of Blythe, there is a potential for fossils to occur in these deposits. Paleontological resources are the remains of once living organisms. They may be mineralized bones of animals, impressions of the leaves of plants, or remains of burrows or other activities of past life. Fossils provide direct evidence of the form and activities of ancient organisms. Perhaps the most significant fossil find in the Blythe area is a mammoth tusk that was found on the east side of the Colorado River at Ehrenberg. If significant paleontological resources are found during construction, paleontologists will work to recover, inventory, and preserve the find. Although the geological formations in the area may contain fossils, paleontologists agree the potential to uncover fossilized fragments at the site is low. To further reduce the potential for impacts on the paleontological resources, the Blythe Energy Project has hired a paleontologist to work with you during construction to identify fossils and recover them if they are found. Monitoring for paleontological resources will be conducted during earth-moving activities. Paleontological resources are classified as a non-renewable scientific cultural resource. These resources are protected by federal legislation and policies as well as by the California Environmental Quality Act. Remember, if you encounter a potential fossil, stop work immediately, do not touch or disturb the area, and immediately alert the appropriate member of the site safety and environmental monitoring team. They will determine the next course of action. Let's review the basic rules that must be followed during the construction of this power plant. Following these basic rules will ensure environmental safety, historical record preserving, and project success. After this training, you will receive a sticker for your hard hat and a card for your wallet. Display this environmental sticker on your hard hat at all times and carry your wallet card with you. Your wallet card has the contacts you will need if you encounter wildlife or cultural resources or potential fossils. Avoid yellow flagged areas. This means do not cross. These areas are to be avoided. Do not disturb anything in this area. In desert tortoise areas, look under all vehicles or equipment prior to moving. Site boundary fencing is designed to keep desert tortoises out of the site. Any damage caused by construction or found by a site worker must be reported immediately to a member of the site safety and environmental team or your supervisor. No desert tortoises may be touched. If a tortoise is observed, it must be reported immediately. If a tortoise is injured or killed, it must be reported immediately. Follow the reporting procedure provided during your regular training and keep your wallet card with you at all times. All trenches must be covered at the end of each day. Each morning, the trenches will be inspected for wildlife prior to disturbance by construction activity. Travel only on designated roads and never travel cross-country in your vehicle. Speed limits on all dirt roads are 20 miles an hour. Firearms are not allowed on the construction site. Pets should not be brought to the project, but if they are, they must remain tied outside your vehicle. All trash must be disposed of in appropriate containers. This includes fruit pits, fruit and vegetable peels, and any other garbage, trash, cigarette butts, and filters. And finally, always remain within the fence project area. Areas outside the fence could have sensitive resources that could be damaged, or even dangers like sharp objects or potential live ordnance. Remember to work with the site safety environmental officer and biological and paleontological monitors. They are there to help you remain in compliance with state and federal laws and regulations. Biological monitors will need to inspect certain tasks during your construction. While they will attempt not to slow construction, some of their activities may require extra time for the monitors to complete their responsibilities. Remember that these resource specialists have the authority to halt construction if biological or other resources are found during construction. Working with them will help to keep construction moving forward. It's very important to remember there are potential civil and criminal penalties for the removal or destruction of any of these specifically protected resources. Blythe Energy Project is permitted by state and federal agencies and is therefore charged by the California Energy Commission, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, California Department of Fish and Game, and the Western Area Power Administration with a specific role to identify, evaluate, and protect significant resources under a number of regulatory statutes. You are invested with a sacred trust, which is to protect these important resources. Remember, your environmental awareness sticker must be worn on your hard hat at all times and a card in your wallet. Do not enter areas that are flagged due to the presence of wildlife. If you encounter wildlife, halt work immediately. Do not touch or harass the animal and alert a member of the on-site environmental monitoring team. Be watchful for possible archaeological artifacts or fossils. There is a plan in place to recover these items if they're found. Work closely with the site safety and environmental officers and resource monitors. They are there to help you stay in compliance with state and federal law.
Everyone involved with the Blythe Energy Project should be proud. You are doing the right thing for California. You're going to be providing energy to a state that has a critical supply shortage. We need it. It's important. It's the right thing to do.
As you begin work on the Blythe Energy Project, we hope this video has helped you to look at this area's inhabitants and its resources with new eyes. Remember, by following these simple rules, we can ensure resource protection, project success, and through the Blythe Energy Project, light the way for the state of California.